All right, welcome to Stocks and Squats. My name is L. Jermaine Russell, and it is now July 1st. So happy July 1st. We're entering into a new quarter. And with this quarter that we're entering into, I wanted to present to you that I've seen kind of over and over again. And I would say it has some type of commonalities, and to me, I am calling it an EMA hack. EMA standing for exponential moving average. Now, if this is your first time coming to this channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, or even hit the notification button. So when I do come out with a new video, you can be notified when that video does the YouTube channel. Essentially, this channel is dedicated for enhancing the financial and physical sense of the individual. So on this part of the channel is the stocks part, where I share not just the types of trades that I make, but what it is that I'm seeing and why I traded it. So with that being said, I saw this whole little thing, with using EMAs and how the EMA actually work, and I've been using it as a technical indicator, mainly for a way to define some direction in the way that a stock is moving, whether it's going on the upside or a downside. And I use the 50 EMA, the 100, and the 200 EMA to give me a sense on the long term how a stock will move. Now, some people, they'll probably use the SMA, which is more of a simple moving average. But with the SMA, why I don't really use that one is because it really doesn't. It considers the it considers more of the not the long-term chart, but it considers more on a smaller scale. It's not really the exponential move on a long-term move, like trying to forecast later, what a stock might do. And that's where the EMA comes into play, where it gives a stronger forecast for stock movement in the future. Um, and it does base it on the most current or most recent price. So, you can have a price that's like $2.60, and that EMA kind of adjusts itself to ensure that that last price gets the most priority, or gets the highest priority. So when it comes to these EMAs, I'm looking at how, and I have it color coded. I have the red as the 200 EMA, the yellow as the 100 EMA, and the green as the 50 EMA. And when I see this, I look at it as from a standpoint on what is causing it to spike. What commonalities would cause a stock to spike? And what it has been is that EMAs come close together, meaning that the 50, the 100, and the 200 are almost pretty much merging together. There is either a strong percentage move, meaning a percentage move of 5% or more, or it just flat out just spikes up, right? And that could be 100% move. So, we'll look at a couple, and I do want you to see, like, pretty much get a sense of where I'm getting at right here. This was one that I tried first because I was seeing this pattern coming over and over again for the past several weeks, where past several weeks of 2020, right, in this last quarter, where you'll get this flattening of the EMA, and then you'll get the strong candlestick, like I said, a little 5% move, and then we get a bigger jump here, right? So I've tried it here, but I know I didn't play it right at all, but I was really more of trying to figure out how does it actually work. That's such a small piece. I was like, let me try these shares and see where it goes. And it didn't go, like, in the pre-market and then going into the market open, it started to collapse. but it replicated essentially what it did on this move. So, another commonality with this is not just with the EMAs and coming one, you know, one like solid line, is that it's a low float. The low floats anything below 30 million, and I've seen it work on other stocks that are a little bit higher in float size and below. Particularly if I can get 15 million or 10 million, that's even greater. It enhances my chances. Um, Another thing is the volume. You need volume. You need an active shares traded. So if you have a volume of, you know, of like 5 million and the float size is like 10 million, that gives it a better chance for the stock to go higher. Um, Even if it like, trades 3 times its float size, sometimes when it trades twice its float size, the that first half, that first, let's say it was the float size is 5 million and it trades 5 million, yeah, it probably went up at that point. Well, if it starts trading 10 million, there's probably be a pullback because that cycle of float, right? That float cycle just went around, one whole revolution. And so now, whoever bought in probably end up selling. And then there'll be more of that revolution again, right? If it goes to 15 million, 20 million, it might be an up and down effect, but the price might still continue to go up because of the float size and the sheer amount of volume that's been poured into the stock. But like as you can see here, just kind of just did the same thing, right? It showed you what it was, what happened after that first spike, and then when it came down and it kind of just spiked again, or it showed you another 5% move and spiked again, it did the same thing. So it just repeated itself. All right, so that is another commonality. Sometimes you might get it when it has news, right? So like BLNK had news, and you see that there's a flattening, and it's not exact, close enough. Flattening of this spike, or flattening of the EMA here. You have a small little spike here, right, where the EMA is still below the 200 EMA, but it is getting closer to the 200 EMA. And now, mind you, when it comes to these stocks, right, when you have the 50 EMA crossing over the 200 EMA, 9 times out of 10, that stock will go higher, right? So when it does go, when you do have that cross, and I think it's called the golden cross, when you have that cross happening, expect the stock to go higher. And that's what happened here. It's starting to go higher here. With this EMA, there should be some pullback because the RSI and the MAC kind of overextended, but at the same time, this should pull back down. I don't want to keep this video on too long, but I just wanted you just to see, some of these stocks and how they're moving. This is CPSH. CPSH kind of did the same thing here. It had a spike, well, not a spike, but had something that happened here, and it didn't seem like it was any news, and it was just like an increase in volume. So we went from 40,000 to 5 million, and with that 5 million, you see it jumped up, and then it actually ended up pulling back, and then it did the same thing again with news, right? News, it had this red candlestick here. I know you probably can't see it too well, but it had this red candlestick here. This is a green candlestick, then the red candlestick based off of earnings, and then it spiked up, and it did the same thing what happened previously, on the previous spike, right? It had this spike here, and then it spiked here, did the same thing with the pullback, and then now what's happening is that not only is it over the 50 EMA, but it's trading higher. And this is what I'm saying, you'll have that 50 EMA over the 100 EMA, and it will cause the stock to go higher. And you can see it's trading higher than its previous. So I would anticipate it going higher on next trading day. Maybe a little pullback, but I could see it going higher. BK, kind of the same thing. There's a flattening of the curve. It had a spike before, I've tried this before. I tried trading this stock before, but it wasn't doing what I thought it would do. And then now look where it is now. It has a spike right here. The spike is a little over 50, over 5%. It traded 300,000 time before that, traded 245,000 time before that. The volume was a little low, so now the volume kind of picked up, right? So, I would anticipate a move a little bit on the upside, and maybe up to 120. That's a 30-cent move that closed before. MACD is still kind of selling off, and the RSI is in a bullish territory. So, who knows? This one could go a little bit higher as it's up after hours. At $6, $7 area. Workhorse, that one has been moving, and this is specifically how I really like to see the EMAs work, where trading price, each candlestick is really on the same level as the EMA before it just starts to ramp up, right? Just like that, this exponential curve. And this is what I like to really see with a chart pattern, right? If we extend it out just a little bit more, we'll see how flat it is and how flat it's become before it actually makes that move up higher. VRT kind of did the same thing. It was flat for a while, kind of made small moves above the 50 EM. I thought right around here it would do this. It didn't do this right around here, and it pulled back. So I was actually fooled back here, and I ended up selling. But now it ramped up, right, and it came all the way up to $14. So we're seeing the flattening of this EMA a whole lot. Let's see what else. Now that everything kind of resetted because it's 3 a.m. And I'm over here looking at charts at 3 a.m. in the morning, right? So here, same thing, BLNK. Did we go over this one? I don't think we went over this one. BLNK. No, we did. We did go over that one. This whole reset messed me up. PCF. Same thing, flattening of the curve. We had a little spike here, and then a bigger spike. It pulled back, spiked again, right? So that is similar, right? Low float, 11 million. Here, kind of going to anticipate the same thing with EKSO. The only thing here, and this is one of those things where you need to pay attention to the candlesticks. It makes it a whole lot easier for you to see if there is price moving on the upside, or even though the 200 EMA is so much farther away from the 150 EMA, it can still go a little bit higher just based off the candlestick formation. And when you have a candlestick formation like this, where you have a candlestick and it jumped up and then it pulled back, because the 200 EMA, if the stock is typically the 200 EMA, it will come back to that 200 EMA. And it came back. You see RSI was overbought, then it pulled back, and it's slightly overbought now. And MACD is showing bullish movement here as well. And then there is also news behind this one as well. So it kind of, giving it that momentum to go a little bit higher. But we'll see with this one too. UONEK, kind of the same thing. It was going flat with the EMAs. Then it had this strong candlestick here, a little bit over 5%, and then it went higher here. It went from the 140 to 440, and then next day it went up to $6, $7. CHCI, we see that there were some spikes here, right? We had a spike here, we had a spike and then a pullback. And that's one other thing that I should mention, like on a lot of these, when they move, on that first strong like candlestick, before making that uptick, before making that $2-3 uptick, that's when what I've seen when you go into the closing, when the market is about to close. Once the market closes, you'll start to see if that stock is moving in the after hours. If it's moving in the after hours, some way, shape, or form, that's where you'll look and see where to buy in. If it's moving up on the upside, not just as moving period, but if it's moving on the upside, it's showing, actual positive movement, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to go higher the next day, mainly in the pre-market. And when the happens, the stock will tend to move higher around 7 a.m. And that's what was happening. I think it was not just with this one, because as we could see with the candlesticks, even though this one ran up so much, when the market opened, it started to come down, right? Because it was up so much already. It opened high and it pulled back. Let's just so you can get a sense of what I'm referring to when it comes to the pre-market movement. But you see, in the after hours, it ran up, and the market came, it started to pull back. So we'll go with this example because this is just repetitive of how it moved in the previous spike. The previous spike is that it was up. It was up pretty much in the pre-market, and the open, it came right back down, right? So and that's how it happened here. Right, this is more in the after hours though, and then in the pre-market it came down. But so it still tells you that, hey, we're not going to stay up too long, so you might want to start getting money now. Back here, same thing. Around this 7 a.m., 8 a.m., it was starting to show movement, and then it spiked. Once the market opened, it started to collapse. And that's what happened there. So it's still showing you that, hey, the pre-market and or after hours and then pre-market movement will show you that if you really wanted to get your money now, you should get it now before we take everything that you have, right? And I think that's what happened here. I bought it too high, and then I was stubborn and let that go, which is another lesson already in previous videos on when the 50 EMA crosses below the 200 EMA. There's so many of these stocks, GPAQ, that was another one. And just, was trading long EMA, and then it just spiked on up. And yeah, it had some, like a clusterfuck in the middle, but it was going higher, right? And it probably could still go higher because it still has some opportunity to move a little higher. SHLL, same thing, flat EMAs, and then it spiked. Let's go at FMCI, same thing, flat EMAs, went to spike, 25 million. Float, OPES, same thing. So when we see these EMAs, and then not only do they flatten out, they spike, they pull back. And when they do pull back, I like to see the pullback to that 200 EMA. The 200 EMA is usually the strong support area, and then it will spike back again. And that's something that you can use even when you're day trading. LCA, same thing. Some of these are holding companies, so you see that flattening of the EMA with the holding company, and then it will go higher. This is a biotech company. You see it flat, and then it ran up. This should pull back some very soon, if not tomorrow or the next trading day. WRTC, maybe. kind of fits, but kind of doesn't. It really traded way below the EMA, and then was flat the EMA for a long period of time, only for like a couple of days, maybe a couple of actually not, and then spiked up to the 50 EMA and then went back up again. So it found that support right here at this 580 area, kind of, that support, and then didn't go any lower. So, this is something where, hey, if you're looking to buy at the 200 EMA, looking at the previous support will help identify where, where the stock, if it does to the 200 EMA. CARV, and I played this wrong today, actually. This is not something that I even have played at all. I think I allowed my my blackness to get into it because it's a black business, and I allowed my emotions to get in there, even though all the technicals were saying don't buy it. But it does what it does, right? It'll move higher, and then once the market opens, it starts to come right back down. That's what these strong red candlesticks mean. That it was up high from the previous day, but once the market opened on the next day, it came right back. I did well back here, but today I didn't because I just ignored everything. Let's see what else. We talked about UNOE. The UNOE kind of did the same thing here. I did well on this one too. This is when I was really starting to identify these EMAs, and I don't want to continue to go on, but you see my list here. I always say for you, like, kind of just go over this list and see if there's anything